Welcome to WETV. This is Craig Finnested, and I want to welcome our guest this afternoon, Jason Phipps. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
One of the things about God is a God who changes lives, and sometimes those changes are small, and sometimes those changes are just huge. It's a change of revolution, and Jason, you've experienced revolution in your life the last 5 or 6 months, haven't you?
A little bit here and there.
Jason started smoking at 9 years old, and you've done that for 20 some odd years now. And tell us a little bit about December 12th, what that day was like for you.
December 12th, I had been taking Chantix for a week, and on day 7, you're supposed to quit smoking, and I quit smoking on December 12th and registered for the Lincoln Marathon. I think it was shortly thereafter.
So on December 13th, then you saw something on Facebook, right?
Yeah, you had made a post on Facebook about Team World Vision and come join the Water's Edge, and we're running this marathon for the kids of Africa. And
So did you really think, though, that you could go from a smoker one day to 5 months later, I mean, seriously, 5.5 months later running a marathon?
In my mind, I knew it was possible, but at the same time, I knew it was probably a crazy idea.
Yeah, you told me you're doing it, and I thought it was crazy. I just don't know if this guy can do it, I mean, I
Yeah.
want to help people succeed, but, I mean, there was a pessimist. I mean, I've known you for years.
Absolutely.
And so tell us about that first run. It was mid-December. You'd quit smoking for 3 or 4 days at this point. And,
Yeah, and
I
me,
mean, you weren't in great shape at that point either, right?
I'm still not in great shape by any stretch, but me and the wife have been walking. That was one of the things I can attest to. We walked often, and so it was kind of one of those natural transgressions of, okay, let's run the blue dots, as we said, and the blue dots are just the 10th of a mile markers, and we were walking Walnut Creek Lake, and it was like the 16th of December, just chilly, and I think we had on, layers, and we were just out there.
So
kinda
what was it
"This is
like?
nuts."
What was it like running those, 1/10 of a mile intervals?
Brutal. I mean, just brutal. It obviously smoking for 25 years just done some damage, and the cold on top of that, the intensity of the cold, it's a different run, right? And so just that in and of itself was just like, oh, I definitely had some moments of what did I get into, and I hadn't told Candace yet that I had signed up for the marathon either. I was just kind of
Yeah,
weird.
sometimes it's easier to get forgiveness and permission when it
Yeah,
comes to registering for marathons.
Oh, we're just messing around. I'm like, let's run the dots. She was like, oh, whatever. So she didn't really kind of get it. And then I kind of made a comment. I think she had found out by making a comment on Facebook. And what is marathon? What are you talking about?
So a couple of months, I mean, just a week or two ago, was it 22, 23 miles you ran?
2 weeks ago it was 23.8.
Okay, so that was literally, I mean, 5 months ago at this point. Were there times between then and now that you just wanted to hang it up and just wanted to quit, or was that something that didn't really cross your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good at quitting. But, this is just one of those things that I want to see through. And it definitely, there's definitely been times where I could just easily, I was just talking to Candace the other day. I'm pretty certain it's something's wrong with my right foot, but it's not wrong enough to keep me from doing the marathon. It's wrong enough that I'll probably go to the doctor afterwards and find out what's wrong. But I'm not going to go before and have them say, "Oh, you can't do this." I mean, I'm determined to do this.
You're all in.
I'm all in, as we say. Yes.
So what's been the biggest challenge for you? Balancing time, kind of.
I was going to say, more than anything, it's been the time. It's actually been working the time. You just hear it. You said it. We're always so busy, and just really creating that window, whether it's an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours on a long run. For us fast people, we need all the time we can get on Saturday. We can't go out there and bust out 18 in 2 hours. So just creating that window of time to just get out there and actually do the training has been the hardest part. It's not, and every time it seems like it's a pain in the butt to go, oh, we got to do this. But then you get out there and you start running, and people that experience running and actually enjoy it, because you hear that often, right? I'm not a runner.
Yeah.
And I just did an interview last week and with some good friends of mine, and this week I could say I'm a runner, because I look forward now to running. I look forward to getting out for an hour, 2 hours.
What is it that you look forward to?
Just the solidarity,
Yeah.
like the just the it's just the silence of just me, and whether it's my headphones or no headphones, and just being in that place where you're just kind of going, you know.
Yeah,
And
last week I talked about technology with our guests, and
hmm
one of the things we talked about is that we're always wired and we're always plugged in, and
always,
I just don't think that's the way that God has created us. And there's times when there has to be solidarity with ourselves, with those closest to us, and those with God as well.
for sure.
And one of the things, you've been able to do a lot of this with your wife. Is that right?
Oh yeah, definitely best running partner, and you know, if I need to slow it down, I slow it down, and you know, and just being able to run together and actually have conversation. You know, that was one of the things that we'd walk. You know, I mean, we'd get out there and we'd walk, and it was our time together, and it was, you know, even with the running, even if I'm a minute or 2 minutes ahead of her or behind her for that matter,
Hmm.
you know, we're out there together. You know, and I'm always constantly looking over my shoulder to
Hmm.
make sure that she's coming around the corner and that she's doing all right. And you know, on the long runs, we'd plant water along the trail, and I make sure that I'd leave enough for her. And
Hmm.
you know, just doing it together makes a big difference for sure.
What's been the most rewarding thing for you? This has been an incredible journey that you've been on, and what might be one or two of the most really rewarding things you've experienced during this time?
Uh, Knowing that I can do it, you know, that's big. Uh, the 23, I don't mean to get choked up. The 23.8 that I did a couple weeks ago, I wore a brand new pair of shoes. I maybe had 20 miles on them. Now,
Hmm.
you, an experienced runner, know that was probably the dumbest thing I could have done.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would give you that. Yeah.
you know, but I'm thinking to myself, you know, just, oh, I'll break them in on this run
Hmm.
because I don't want to break them in on the marathon. And it was, you know, 11 miles out. It was an out and back, and it was 11 miles out, and I was running with two experienced runners, and to me, we smoked it. We were like 10-minute miles. We
Hmm.
did really well, and then we got there and turned around, and on the way back, my hip really started hurting. I
Hmm.
mean, bad, and then my right foot started hurting even worse, and so I was overcompensating, and I hurt myself. And about mile 15, I stopped and started walking. And I told him, you know, just carry on. This guy had somewhere he had to be. I said, just carry on. I'll be fine. And that was kind of where I got alone.
Hmm.
And, you know, some of those long runs could be emotional,
Oh
especially when
yeah.
you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And you just have those God moments. And
Hmm.
I was just walking through it. You know, I couldn't run. So I was just walking through it. And I just started tearing up. Got really emotional. Went back to the kids in my head.
Hmm.
Went back to the kids that, you know, my kids and my wife, and I just thought, you know, you got power. You know, I had my phone with me. I could
Hmm.
have
Yeah.
easily just
Yeah.
called the wife, and I think I called the wife at mile 20, and I says, babe, you know, I'm coming back up on the lake where my car is, and uh, and I was pretty certain I had hurt myself bad enough that I
Hmm.
wasn't going to be able to do the marathon. And I had pretty much hung up the towel on the idea of doing the marathon, and I said, I'll just do the half.
Hmm.
But today I'm going to do 26. And, you know, I called her up and I says, I want you to come out. I want you to get out here with me to do that 26 with me. And we're just going to walk the lake a couple more times.
Hmm.
And she had already got her run in, but she came back out. She suited up. She met me halfway, and she walked another 4 miles, I think, that day. And she just basically talked some common sense to me and said, "You stop. You're going to do the marathon."
The Bible says a number of times, Paul says that Jesus says that we can, do all things through God who gives us strength. Or, humanly speaking, some things are possible with God. All things are possible. And, as I look at your life, you know, early December, you could have been described as a smoker.
Yep,
May 1st, you can be described as marathoner.
quite
And
possibly.
you just look at that, and it's 20 years from now, the lifestyle change you're making now is going to totally revolutionize who you are, who you're going to be to your kids, to your grandkids. 20 years from now, the previous lifestyle, Jason Phipps may not have been around.
Yeah.
With this lifestyle, you're not going to be around, but you'll be thriving. And it's it's an adjustment that you've made from quitting smoking and starting running. And how have you experienced God during this process?
Just all along the way. I mean, you knowing and believing that through Christ all things are possible is a big deal. And you get to see Christ in the people around you. I think that's the
Hmm.
biggest thing is people say, I can't see, feel, touch, and they struggle with that. and they're missing it because it's all around them. They see it all around them. They just choose not to accept it. I see Christ through my kids and their positive motivation, through my wife and her encouragement on the days that I don't want to run. Where you have those days where you just don't feel like running, but it's part of your regiment. It's part of the program. You have to do it. And, she's waking up at 7, so I better wake up at 7 to do it, You see Christ in the community. Runners they're a unique community. Just like a church is a unique community. There's just a community of runners that people that have reached out. My family, I think it's really important to mention here that not only when I signed up for the marathon, Candace, of course, being the good wife, she says, I'll do the half with you. And I says, okay. My 2 stepsisters, Cheryl and Pam, turned around and said, well, if Jason's doing the marathon, we can at least do a half. They don't run. They're not runners. My sister, my twin sister, said, well, if you guys are doing this, I can do that marathon. So she signed up for the full. Now she's going to do the half, but she signed up for the full because she's like me. She thinks really big. My brother, of course, forgot to sign up, but, he's still coming out. It turned into a family thing. I've posted so many times attitudes are contagious on Facebook and every time I'm posting that, it's because of all the things that are happening around me because of the marathon or something there about just awesomeness. And that's how God has been working in my life, is just seeing him work in everybody around me. The generous gifts of people contributing to Team World Vision. Things like that. People I haven't heard from.
Yeah, we've raised $23,000 so far as a team, and you've been a big part of that. And coming up to race day, we're 4 or 5 days out at this point. What's going through your mind? I mean, are you nervous about this? Is it excitement? Is it both? Where are you going thinking into this run your first marathon on May 1st?
I'm excited. I mean, I wouldn't even say I was nervous. I'm just excited because it's turned into a family event. I mean, my mother's coming out, my grandma's coming out.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just a huge deal. We just had Easter, it's just, now it's a big family ordeal. I had my in-laws here, and that was a great time. But now it's this other reason. It's just another reason to celebrate, kind of just a new life, really.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a baptism into a new life. And so it just feels like that, and that's so awesome to be able to share that with so many people.
Yeah, it's interesting. Easter was just a few days ago, and the message of Easter is that new life is possible through Christ. And Jason, I know you've been an inspiration to me, and you've been an inspiration to many people. And what I see in you is new life, and I see a life that can live a long time. I see an abundant life, and a life where God is going to continue to bless you, but also use you as a blessing to others. So next week is going to be our post-Lincoln Marathon show. We're going to have many of our runners on. We'll have conversations with them. They will share their stories of running the marathon and the half marathon. It's going to be a great show next week, so I encourage you to tune in for that. Hey, there's still great opportunities to support kids in Africa through us. We're paying all our way there. There's no expenses that we take. Everything goes to Kids in Africa. So check that out. It's www.runningforkidsinafrica.com. This Sunday at the Water's Edge, there's just going to be one worship service. It will be 10:30. No 9 o'clock service this week only. What we're going to be looking at is living life in the depths. Oftentimes in life, we live on the surface. But if you're on a body of water, there's no life that happens on the surface. Everything good happens in the depths of life. That's where the fish lives. That's where the plants live. And we're going to look at going into the depths of life in our relationship with God, in our relationship with each other, and really our relationship with ourselves. We're going to look at 4 prayers from the Bible that are going to help us really discover and live life at new depths. So, Jason, I want to thank you for being with us today. This has been Craig Finnestad, and we will see you next week on WETV.